না না আছে, রাস্তায় আছে, চলে আসবে। হ্যাঁ, শুরু করেন।
Can I get a quick photo of your accreditation?
Sit, please.
Hold it up next to your face.
Abhishek.
You're talking to now? Yes. Is there one more person? One, two.
Good afternoon, everyone. We'll be, in this press conference, we'll be talking, the South Asian countries are being represented here. And as you know, one of the most impacted regions of climate impacts is...
You're going to have to wait for my cue to start.
Okay, I just...
No, take your time.
Yes. So we'll be speaking on multiple issues that South Asian countries and their people are...
You need to wait. You need
But
to
it's
wait.
past 12. Okay.
Because then we'll start recording.
Okay.
Okay. Is everyone in position? I don't think I've got your photo. Can I get your photo and your ID?
Sure.
Should pull that up. Thank you very much. Okay. Are we all set? You're all set here on stage?
We all see. Good afternoon. As we said, we'll be speaking from the South Asian countries' perspective. And as you know, the 8 countries in South Asia, they are one of the most impacted. We'll be talking about multiple issues that we are facing, and we feel extremely important to be raised in the global platform and to be recognized and acted upon very fast. So without wasting time, the initial statement will be given by Mr. Syed Aminul Haq, and he is from Coast, Bangladesh. Please.
Thank you, moderator. Dear journalists covering the COP29, greetings, and we, the CSO from different countries, have gathered here with an expectation of saving our planet from the climate crisis. We are experienced with multifarious devastating climate impact of heat wave, unprecedented cyclone, and flood around the world. The phenomena imperative for an urgent action to reduce global temperature. We would like to leave behind all incomplete and frustrated negotiation outcome happened in the past and hope to have a realistic, transitional and equitable outcome from COP29 in Baku. Dear journalist and friend, COP29 is being considered as finance COP. That means here we'll decide our future financial strategies fighting climate change. This is an opportunity for reality check on how we are progressing, where are the gaps, and what will be our role contribution setting appropriate financial support to achieve the goal. Following the hope, we want to draw some our expectation from this negotiation. We expect hope for 1.5 degree temperature goal through ending fossil fuel. The latest emission gap report 2023 said that world is witnessed at least 86 days with a high temperature record that exceeding 1.5 degree above pre-industrial level this year. This has been happened due to failure of controlling and reducing greenhouse gas by emitter countries. They also expressed their concern that the implementation and conditional and unconditional NDC will increase the global temperature to 2.6 to 2.8 degree by the centuries. Therefore, to get back on track, global annual greenhouse gas emission gap must be narrowed. And this will be possible by continuously strengthening mitigation action for this decade through reducing emission. We expect and believe that developed country parties with big emitters have capacity to give a real emission reduction place now and following the upcoming GST. COP29 will establish a clear timeline for transitioning away from fossil fuel and fuel-based, coal-based energies. We expect that COP29 must deliver a clear timeline for transitioning away from fossil fuel, leading to complete phase-out and clear reflection, therefore, in the NDC 3 in 2025. It must deliver a strict decision on immediate phase-out of coal-based power plant and fossil fuel subsidies. Finance. Dear journalist and friend, we have faced a bitter experience from developed countries in mobilizing 100 billion climate finance with a cumulative overdue. Now, a new financing strategy is on the table of discourse in the name of new collective and quantified goal on finance, NCQG, which is to be finalized this year, we think. The NCQG introduced lack of clarity at some points, particularly in interpreting and clarifying the terms collective. This is a very important issue where the uncertainty and risks are there. This uncertainty has become more visible while examining the US position last year on the NCQG. According to their interpretation, the finance mobilization and aligning not necessary to depend on the donors, rather it should come through national and other considered than other process. This is indicating that the US and their allies must exert the pressure to the LDC MBCs in the name of collectivism, and such prospect is indeed alarming. We observe very little progress has been made in the run-up to COP29. Parties' disagreement made us frustrated in real sense, because who should pay, how much paid, and what will be the accessibility in the funds. In the context, we are reiterating the Paris Agreement Clause 9.3, where developed countries will take lead for mobilizing necessary finance from wide varieties of source, but never make responsible the LDC MBC in the name of process resource mobilization. Our expectation in this regard is, we demand a clear definition of climate finance through UNFCCC. This is very important to avoid the dubious role of developed countries for their double counting and to proper monitoring, reporting, and verification with a transparent climate finance from both of donors and recipient implementers. The NCQG must explore a new percentage of GNI for climate finance above their existing ODA. We are observing that developed countries dissolutely fall below their climate financing promise and further indebted the developing countries and MBCs, giving the loan in the name of climate financing. This is extremely unfair, and instead of supporting MBC, developed countries are crippling MBC's ability to cope with the next shock of deepening their poverty. In such context, developed countries must be promised to climate finance as ODA under the NCQG process by followed Article 4.3 UNSC Convention. The finance will be ensured delivered as public finance from percentage their GNI, which will be out of the existing ODA. We demand a separate NCQG for mitigation, adaptation, and loss and damage finance. This is very less financing in adaptation and L&D sector, creating MBC more vulnerable and also depleting their capacity to prevent the resilient building. So this is being happened due to non-recognize the MBC's core problem adaptation to show the inaction of developed countries to support effectively of the adaptation L&D sector, so that NCQG must address the need of MBCs and develop the NCQG accordingly. Dear journalists, in this event, we have some researcher, expert, development activist, and campaigner. They will talk more. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Aminul. I think many of these issues are familiar, but bringing this up from our own perspectives, from the impacted people in South Asia, their perspective is important. Next, I will call upon Mr. Abhishek Shrestha from Nepal. You will talk about, Abhishek? You'll talk about loss and damage? Yeah, okay. On the loss and damage issues and how do we see from South Asian perspective. Please, you have 4 minutes.
Sorry? Oh, okay. Thank you very much. So I'd like to also thank the media person who are here to hear the stories from our part of the world. So if you see, loss and damage is one of the key issues for many global South countries, and I'm speaking on behalf of South Asia. I come from Nepal. This year we had very unprecedented rainfall in different parts of Nepal. In the far western part of the Nepal, we had like more than 600 millimeter of rainfall in one day. So you can imagine, like many global north countries don't receive that rainfall throughout a year, and that was like a very catastrophic. Like it has impacted lives and livelihood of many communities. Not only that, Nepal is a mountainous country, and we are known for snow-capped mountain. And this year we have seen glacial lake outburst flood. Even there was no any glacial lake last year. There was a flood in a place called Thames. That's a gateway to Everest. Similar to that, we had similar kind of flood in India, Bangladesh, like submerging of different land. We, Digo Vikas Institute, the organization that I come from, we did a research in a Thame flood. That's a gateway to Everest. Like it was like $4 million US dollar loss in one small village of 45 households. So you can imagine like what the developed countries has now. They have been like the need is like over $400 billion per year, but what's they have been put like it's only like 700 million is committed, and like only 10 million has been like put like into the fund, like they have. So as the different countries are here who are placing the finances, and like they are having high-level dialogue on loss and damage fund, we want to make it very clear that they have to put that resources, and no more dramas and no more talks. It should be very clear, because the climate finance need is for the lives and livelihood of people. They can't play more around the lives of the people. So it's very clear, and we want to pass the clear message that the people in our part of the world, South Asia, like India, Nepal, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, Afghanistan, Pakistan, Maldives, Bhutan, like is suffering. And we are here to give clear message, and the messages are clear that the community are suffering and the incidents of loss and damages are increasing. So thank you very much for this platform.
Thank you, Abhishek. And I think it bears repeating again and again that without adequate, proper, no loans, no high interest loan, no soft interest loans, but grants, that kind of climate finance, action on climate will not progress in the developing countries. And that's a big stumbling block. Next, though I said we are doing this mostly from the South Asian countries, but the perspective is from all developing countries which are impacted massively. So next I'll call upon Ms. Petet, is an old friend and that's from Philippines, to speak about the climate finance issues. Petet, you have 4 minutes. Thanks.
Thank you very much. My name is Tetet Lauron, and I come from the Rosa Luxemburg Foundation. I'm based in the Philippines. And I would like to share with you some of our thoughts on why this COP is really important to deliver not just an outcome that, you know, can be gavelled right at the opening of the plenary session, but an outcome that is coming from a process that is transparent, inclusive, and participatory. Yeah? So I heard this morning in plenary that the COP29 presidency said it must be an enabling COP. And as the other panelists have mentioned, we are expected to finalize negotiations and decisions on a new collective quantified goal on climate finance. The COP and the CMA is expected to agree on arrangements regarding the operationalization of the fund for responding to loss and damage. But this should not be at the cost of undermining negotiations and the voices of countries and communities. We must remember that there's that danger. I don't know. I left the plenary just to rush to this press conference. I don't know if it has already been gavelled that Article 6.4, Article 6 will be included as climate finance. No, let's see. Maybe you have more information than I do. But let me just tell everyone that it is very, very dangerous, you know, to talk about legitimizing the role of carbon markets in climate finance, because that is what developed countries would have us accept. Not that the provision of climate finance should include and legitimize further the role of carbon markets, private sector businesses. But let us all be reminded, number one, what is needed? How much is needed? We are saying we need at least $5 trillion annually as an initial payment towards a much larger climate debt that continues to increase because mitigation efforts are just very, very lacking and deficient. Number two, what's important is who should pay, who should contribute. These negotiations would have us believe that all countries should contribute equally to providing the resources, mobilizing the resources. But let's all be reminded, what does the Paris Agreement say, what the Convention says? Developed countries must fulfill their obligations under the Convention and in line with the principle of common but differentiated responsibility and respective capability. Number three, where to get the money, where to get the resources. We must all remember that the bulk of the NCQG, the new climate finance goal, must be delivered as public, grants-based finance for adaptation and loss and damage as a matter of climate justice. It is not an investment goal. Let's be clear on that. You know, adaptation and loss and damage is not an investment goal where you can profit more from the climate crisis. This is what we are talking about. It's a matter of life and death for us, not a business or an investment decision. We should also respect and promote human rights and gender responsiveness. And lastly, let me just tell everyone, we hear developed countries say there is no sufficient public finance to fulfill their climate finance obligations. Hello, global military spending has risen leaps and bounds in the last year alone. It has increased to $2.44 trillion in 2023, the highest level recorded ever. Which only goes to show money is not available to invest in climate action, but it is very much available and it is very much being used to fuel increased militarism and wars of aggression. The military is the fourth largest emitter, responsible for at least 5.5% of global emissions. So what we should be saying here at this COP is we should defund militarism, defund genocide, and we should really invest in climate action, invest in climate justice. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Tetet. That was a very powerful message. I think the developed countries' narrative that money is not available is not only shown in military spending, but it has been repeatedly shown. During COVID, some $4.5 or $5 trillion were generated out of some sources and distributed. So if the governments do intend to do that, finance can be generated, finance is available, but only thing, the intention, the will of the developed countries is lacking, and that is leading the world to massive disaster. And on this note, I was supposed to talk the background about the mitigation, what situation we are in, then we'll come to the communities aspect. Let me just bring in this few data and the situation that all of us know. You have seen these recent reports. You have seen the recently published report by Oxford, that group, that is called The Perilous Times on Planet Earth, the State of the Climate in 2024. And that the first statement opens with, we are standing in front of a disaster. So those kind of statements, the 2023 planetary boundary studies bring out that 6 of the 9 planetary boundaries are either broken or being breached. In this respect, the transition, and it has to be a just transition, as we are emphasizing, the transition from fossil fuels to renewable energy needed all support. But the data shows that in face of the need of around $6 trillion annually to be invested in renewable energy, the actual total investment in renewable is around $1.3 trillion globally. And that too is happening only in a few countries. It's not uniformly, not in developing countries that much. The amount of installation of renewable energy that is needed is around 1,000 gigawatt per year. If we have to keep any realistic chance, which scientists don't see it's now possible, of 1.5 degrees, but we are actually installing around 297 gigawatt per year. So 1/3 of what is being required, even in mitigation, is being done. And it's very clear, if we don't mitigate, the need for adaptation, the need for loss and damage funding will keep on increasing. So that, keeping that in perspective, I'd like to now call upon Mr. Tilak from Sri Lanka to do his presentation. You have 4 minutes, please.
Thank you very much. My name is Tilak Karyavasam from Lanka Organic Agriculture Movement and also the representing a network called FIAN Sri Lanka, Food Information Action Network. Regarding this food and the climate change, and this is a big topic in this COP. You see, when it comes to the agriculture, it is claimed as one of the sector where you get the greenhouse gases, and there are a lot of claim against to the agriculture. But it is the lifeline of our the countries. And when it comes to the fisheries and the agriculture, it is the base. And with that, we had a very good system where the pollution is very controlled, and considerably it is not a big issue in the previously. But with the name of development, with the name of technology, we have gone to different the fossil fuel based technologies where today we have problems. But you see, the climate change is a reality now, and therefore to our farmers, there is a system to go with hand in hand with the adaptation and some of the mitigation measures. And therefore, we are promoting agroecology within the countries, and it is a solution to the present day problem. But with the name of the carbon financing, is it going to be help to this sector? In what is happening in today, you see most of our countries, the farmers are ready to do these initiatives, but with the name of carbon trading, there are greenwashing is happening in the countries. Most of the developed country-based companies who are trying to do carbon credits, and they are coming to there and they do the projects without knowing really, without bringing the proper benefit to the grassroots people. And this is the big thing happening in today. And you see most of our countries, with the name of the carbon credit, what they do in a one way the capacity building and a lot of other things, but the ground level, the verification and all other things, it's not being properly done. The benefit goes to farmers is very less. And with that, we really appreciating what the Azerbaijan government has put Harmonia, the kind of initiative for farmers. If it is happening in a real way, it is good. But we can't hope get these things with the proper way, because the world today, it's the most of the people who having the power, who having the technology, yeah, they do in a the different manner where the people don't get more involved, and therefore it is a need we to go for the climate justice program where the countries can benefit in South Asia. This, most of the South Asian countries are doing these adaptive or the carbon financing systems, and where we could promote the actual benefit to the farmers. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Tilak. We have our last speaker. We'll bring him some community perspective to all this. He is from Mrityunjay Das from KR, Bangladesh.
Thank you, Shomoda. I will actually focus on a global perspective, what CARE thinks about it. So it's obvious that we are doing the worst possible in every sectors, like the war spending, and I'm sure that all of us are aware that last year we already experienced 1.5 degree pre-industrial level temperature over the entirety of the year for the first time, right? So I'll talk about 5 things, very crisp and up to the point. First of all, we need to protect our nature and biodiversity. And while we revise our NDCs, it has to align with the Kunming Montreal Biodiversity Protocol. That's one. Number 2, yes, we are talking about a new quantified collective finance goal. We re-emphasize that there has to be a sub-goal for loss and damage so that there is no double counting for adaptation and loss and damage funding. Number 3, 300 million people on average are still suffering on food insecurity. So we urge that there are enough adaptation funding, both in terms of adaptation solutions and funding, actually, so that these people can be equipped to adapt to the changing climate. And number 4 is in terms of funding. Gun at the dose of $100 billion. You know that the civil society is urging for $1 trillion per year, and there we can actually give you a full accounting how this can be arranged. We believe that Annex 2 countries can arrange at least $5.2 trillion per year, especially by redirecting and revising their subsidies to oil industry. And number 5 is, of course, climate actions must consider gender just and intersectional aspects of diversity, because there is no climate justice without gender justice. Thank you very much.
Jay, and we have time for just one quick question if you have. Anyone? Okay. Fine. Let us then conclude this press conference, and if you have any more questions, and I didn't introduce myself, my name is Shoumya Datta. I am from Friends of the Earth India and Mosam Network. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah, we were in